Hello, I'm Lorianne Lumby with Authentic Freedom Academy, and this is our Friday spiritual service. And today is June 19th. We're coming up on the big eclipse weekend, and I don't know, every other possible thing that's happening in the universe is apparently happening this weekend. So buckle up and hang on tight. And we're going to begin with, our theme today is the rise of the priestess. And we'll have an opportunity to explore what that means at this place in our human evolution and in the context of our own lived experiences. And before we dive into that, let's begin with grounding and arriving meditation. So I invite you to begin by closing your eyes. And to consciously allow your body to sink into a relaxed state, releasing your shoulders from the place they're usually hanging out around your ears, releasing your jaw, letting your arms and your hands relax. Being conscious of your posture so that you are getting a complete and full breath. Releasing your abdomen, your lower back, unclenching your toes, and just letting your body really relax into the chair, the couch, or the floor that you're seated on. And I invite you to draw yourself into a soft awareness of your breathing. Not forcing your breath, but just letting yourself breathe naturally and just being aware of that gentle sensation of relaxed breathing. Being aware of how your breathing is the force of life. It's by our breathing that we know we are still here and still alive. And with each breath, we are drawing in life and releasing that which is not life-giving. Drawing in peace, releasing conflict, breathing in love, releasing fear, breathing in compassion, releasing judgment, breathing in harmony, releasing discord. And we'll just take a few moments to pause in the rhythm of that breathing, allowing that to bring us into a mindful, focused, and peaceful state. And in that place of focused peacefulness, I invite you to listen to these words. These words are from the Gnostic text, the Thunder Perfect Mind. And this is the Divine Feminine speaking. Why have you hated me in your counsels? For I shall be silent among those who are silent, and I shall appear and speak. Why then have you hated me? Because I am a barbarian among the barbarians? For I am wisdom, and I am knowledge. I am judgment, and I am the one whose image is great in Egypt, and the one who has no image among the barbarians. I am the one who has been hated everywhere, and who has been loved everywhere. I am the one whom they call life, and whom you have called death. I am the one whom they call love, and whom you have called lawlessness. I am the one whom you have pursued, and I am the one whom you have seized. I am the one whom you have scattered, and you have gathered me together. I am the one before whom you have been ashamed, and you have been shameless to me. I am she who does not keep festival, and I am she whose festivals are many. I am godless, and I am the one whose God is great. I am the one whom you have reflected upon, and you have scorned me. I am unlearned, and they learn from me. I am the one whom you have despised, and you reflect upon me. I am the one whom you have hidden from, and you appear to me. But wherever, whenever you hide yourselves, I myself will appear. For whenever you appear, I myself will hide from you. I chose that text from the Nag Hammadi library because, number one, I kind of have a feeling it was written by Mary Magdalene. Not 100% sure, but it definitely fits within the Gnostic tradition. It is a text that describes the vastness of the feminine. It is a text that describes the conflict that the feminine has experienced since the time that the patriarchy took hold. It is a text that describes what seems like conflict within the feminine soul, and yet at the same time describes the profound union that is present within the feminine ideal. And we are in a time in our human history when we are in great need of the feminine. We are at a time of dramatic and drastic transformation. And as I shared in one of my writings earlier this week, is because of this dramatic transformation that the feminine has risen in our culture. Specifically, the rise of what I would call the priestess. Some scholars and anthropologists, researchers, archaeologists suggest that there was a time in our human culture when the feminine reigned. A time in our history when the feminine was honored as sacred, was perhaps privileged above the masculine, and where the religious and spiritual belief systems that arose during that time, that they honored both a masculine and a feminine divine. We see remnants of this in the Hebrew faith. We see remnants of this in most of, if not many, if not all, of the pre-Christian traditions. We see this in Hinduism. We see this in Native American and other indigenous religions and religious practices. We also see within those past systems, and some that are being, reclaimed at this time in our journey, we see or saw that in those cultures where there was a masculine and a feminine that were both honored as sacred, that there also would be both men and women that were held in esteem as important to the life of the tribe or the community because of the spiritual gifts that they exhibited, and because of the important roles that they played within the community, both as interpreters of the weather, healers, diviners, meaning speaking with the divine, providing counsel, education, performing ritual, doing everything that needed to be done to maintain, uphold, and preserve the spiritual and psychological well-being of the community. And in many cases, to preserve the physical well-being of the community. So there was a time thousands of years ago when priestesses were prevalent within these communities. And we can see evidence of this in Greek culture, where there are temples that were literally lived in and run by women. That has not been the case in Western culture anyway for several thousand years. But we find ourselves at this time of dramatic transformation and change, and a time where women in particular are coming forth as spiritual leaders, spiritual guides, healers, teachers, wisdom keepers, ritual facilitators. While we may not see this within the traditional religions that many of us grew up in, we are seeing that priestess archetype coming forth in hundreds, if not thousands, of women and men who are called to be part of, facilitate, and guide us through this time of profound transition. And it makes sense because the feminine principle is, I guess I'll say, presides over the thresholds of life. We are the midwives that bring forth new life. We are the midwives that sit at the side of those who are dying. We counsel the living. We counsel the dying. And women in particular have been gifted with this skill. We have the courage, we have the strength, we have the tolerance of pain, and many of us ourselves have been brought to the brink of that threshold between life and death, whether it be in our own life journey or in the process of giving birth. And so we understand and can endure these times of transition, this time of tribulation, this time of great endings, and this time of unknown. We often don't know what's happening from moment to moment or day to day as we continue to find our way through this process of transformation. And we are forced to live in that state of unknowing, and we are forced to be present to what's before us right here and right now. So talking about the rise of the priesthood, one of the things I really wanted to bring to light in our circle today is the power of the priestess and the source of that power. And it's a power that we all already have within us. And it's a power that for many of us has been demonized, condemned, ridiculed, ignored, or we're just told we're crazy. And that power is our intuition. It is that deep state of inner knowing. In Gnostic texts, they refer to this as the nous, N-O-U-S. Carl Jung spoke of it as creative imagination. It's the place within us where we can feel beyond appearances. We can feel beyond what we see. We can know and understand the truth beyond the illusion. But the question is, how do we know that? How do we know what's true? How do we know what's false? How do we know where we're being guided? How do we know about intuition? How are we connecting with this inner knowing? And again, that connection point is something that's been demonized in women. And that inner something is as simple as our feelings. We literally feel in our body what's right and what's wrong, what's truth and what is falsehood. What is evil and what is sacred. And how many times have we been told, well, you can't know that, or stop being so judgmental? But the truth is that we know. We know when someone's trying to manipulate us. We know when something is a threat or a danger. We know when we're being deceived. We know when someone is lying. We know when someone's trying to hide something from us. We know when someone's intent is not of integrity or authenticity. We know when someone is seeking to cause harm. And we know this by the physical signals in our body. Now, for each of us, those signals might differ. I feel them in my gut. Some might feel it in the back of their neck or in their heart or in their stomach or their back. Our body is like a Geiger counter or a barometer that is continually taking in information, assessing that information, and communicating what it is that we're feeling and receiving. And we have spent our whole lives being told that that's an invalid measure, or that we couldn't possibly know it, or we're just imagining things, or we're being paranoid, or we've been conditioned by our culture to say, oh, you need to give them the benefit of the doubt, or you couldn't possibly know that, or don't tell anyone the family secret, or how dare you accuse that person of blah, blah, blah. I remember calling out a specific coach at a specific university for a culture of rape that was prevalent under his reign and being decimated by all of those men that came to his defense. You don't know him. You don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I don't know, tell the 20 women I know that were raped by their athletes. We do know. And we've been taught not to trust that or heed it or listen to it. Well, this is the power of the priestess, is our body as a Geiger counter or as a barometer telling us what's true and what's not, what's safe and what is of danger. And one of the things I wanted to share with in this circle is something that has come to me in the last probably several weeks, and it's been kind of unfolding over a period of time. And it's this word that we throw around quite a bit right now called trigger. And it's used as it is related to trauma, and specifically past traumas. And I've used this term with myself, I've used it with clients and students, family members. And, you know, it's important that we recognize our triggers. It's important that we hold ourselves accountable to our reactions to those. It's important that we take time out when we're triggered so that we can work on healing our wound. And one of the things that struck me recently is, are these really triggers? Because when I think about the things that I call trigger today, it's the exact same feelings I felt when I was in situations where I was experiencing abuse, where I was experiencing betrayal, deception, condemnation, mean girl behavior. And now I'm wondering, are these really triggers? Or for all those years when I would feel my gut clench or my shoulders go up to the top of my neck, or I would feel a sense of panic. Were they triggers, or all this time was this my body saying, this is unsafe? This is of danger. This is hurtful. That is abuse. And I believe that that's the case. That what I'm calling triggers today are really just exactly the same things I was feeling when my gut was telling me that something was not right and that I needed to leave or get out or create a safer environment or stand up for myself or walk away or stop giving people the benefit of the doubt who are showing themselves to not be kind. So I've been playing with that piece recently and allowing myself to let go of, I guess I'll say, the title of survivor or victim or past trauma, and instead giving myself permission to acknowledge that I knew all along. It was the culture and our enculturation that told me to ignore that voice or to think that I had done something wrong or that those feelings were because there was something wrong with me or something being done to me. And now I look at those things that I would in the past have called triggers and say, nope, that's my truth telling me this is not safe. This is not sacred. This is not holy. Walk away. And it's interesting to me as the women that I know and men that are coming forth as priestesses today, how many of them would call themselves trauma survivors? How many of them have experienced trauma, in their words? And I wonder, yes, there is trauma, definitely, but more importantly, how were our priestess powers trying to make themselves known to us? That place of inner knowing, that place of truth telling and truth seeing, that place of inner guidance, that place of self-awareness. And that is indeed the power of the priestess. And how interesting it is to live in a culture that tells us not to listen to that. And isn't that the subtle, not so subtle example of how the feminine principle has been squashed, demonized, ignored, ridiculed for, I don't know, 5,000 years or so? And I'm grateful for the time that we're living in because that no longer is the case. We are here. We are here. We are in our power. We are aware of that inner power. We've been through hell and back, and we're ready. We're ready to be that source of support, guidance, counsel, and leadership as the world continues in its dying and as the new world seeks to be born. So thank you for making it through hell and back and for showing up with your gifts at this critical time in human evolution as together we work to create a world that is more loving, more kind, more gentle, more balanced, more in celebration of diversity, more in collaboration and cooperation and joy. So I'll invite us to take a few moments in quiet reflection as you kind of allow, as we allow, all of that to sink in, and feel free to get up and move around, and we'll come back for some discussion in a few minutes. Thank you for all those that were able to join for our live gathering today. And our next gathering will be Friday, I don't know, whatever next Friday is, at 1 o'clock Central Time here on Zoom. And the content portion, as always, will be posted on YouTube, usually within 24 hours of the live gathering. So there were a lot of topics and a lot of things that came up for discussion. And I think ultimately what's really funny is that I pulled a card from my Mother Mary deck that perfectly reflects what came up in our conversation today. So I'm going to share this as our closing prayer today. And who would come forward today but Our Lady of the Dark Mysteries? And she is my super duper favorite card in this deck. And I'm going to read a couple paragraphs of what it says here. And the deck is, the content is from Alana Fairchild, and the artwork is Shiloh Sophia McLeod. Our Lady of the Dark Mysteries. I have many names and faces, but behind those names and faces, I am your loving mother always. I come to you in light and darkness, through joy, and even, my beloved, through loss and tragedy. I am always your loving mother. I am seeking you, reaching for you, calling you to me. If you can know this, then great peace and spiritual power will be yours, and you can assist me in enlightening this world from fear and distrust into a place of compassion and divine radiance unveiled. Remember me always. I am your loving mother. It can be easier to sense the presence of the Divine Mother when she appears through her light face in compassion, gentleness, and charity. It can be more challenging to accept and honor her through her dark face. Her dark face may be manifesting through death or loss, through tragedy, trauma, or crisis, through confusion, or even through meeting our own inner demons of great fear, attachment, or hate. Her dark face is no less loving than her face of light, no less radiant. The one may have to look through the eye of the heart to see the vivid light that may seem veiled through circumstance. So at this place in our human transformation, we are definitely staring the dark face of the mother, staring into the dark face of the mother, as we are facing the end of what we've known, the dying grasps of the old world, and the death throes of that which is being transformed. And we welcome this power of the Dark Mother because she is fierce. She doesn't take any shit. And she is ultimately ushering us into a new beginning, a new dawning, and new life. And so my prayer for us as we continue to move through this week is to embrace that dark face of the mother, to acknowledge any resistance or fear we might have in regards to that, and to find our way through that fear so that we can be transformed and in that transformation, being a source of transformation for the world. So thank you for being here today. Namaste, and we'll see you next time.